In 1885, a painting was pulled from public exhibition in Russia, banned almost immediately by the government. Why? Because they feared it might ignite something dangerous, a revolution. Since then, this artwork hasn't just been debated. It's been attacked, slandered, and even accused of rewriting Russian history. In 1913, a man stormed into the gallery and stabbed the painting 3 times, claiming the horrifying scene it portrayed never happened and never should have been painted. The painting in question? Ivan the Terrible and His Son, by Ilya Repin. A chilling moment captured in oil, the Russian Tsar, moments after he's struck and killed his own son, in a burst of uncontrollable rage. His son lies limp, blood trickling from his temple. Ivan's face? A portrait of sheer horror. A father consumed by grief. A ruler shattered by guilt. Though the painting was restored and still stands today, the controversy surrounding it has never truly died. And in today's video, we dive into the full story. What happened that night in 1581? Why was the painting banned? And was the Tsar really guilty? Who were Ivan and his son? As the title says, the figures in this painting are none other than Ivan IV, also known as Ivan the Terrible, and his son Ivan Ivanovich. To understand this moment, we need to go back, all the way to 16th century Russia. Though Reppen painted this work in 1885, the tragic event it captures supposedly occurred around November 16, 1581. But no one knows exactly what happened that night. Historians have pieced together 3 main theories. Each paints a different version of the truth. Theories behind the murder theory. 1. Rage, pride, and a fatal blow. In this version, Ivan the Terrible arrives at the palace and sees his daughter-in-law dressed in what he considers inappropriate clothing. Furious, he strikes her, unaware she's pregnant. The blow causes her to miscarry, a tragic loss. The next day, his son, outraged and heartbroken, confronts him. This wasn't the first time the Tsar had meddled in his son's relationships. In fact, he had already forced 2 of his son's previous wives into convents. As the argument escalates, Ivan, blinded by rage, lifts his hand and strikes his son's temple. The hit is fatal. Ivan Ivanovich collapses to the ground. In an instant, the fury fades. The Tsar realizes what he's done and breaks down. This is the moment Reppen captures in the painting. Ivan's eyes wide with despair, holding his dying son in his arms. Theory 2. Illness, not murder. But not everyone agrees with this version. According to this theory, the Tsar didn't kill his son at all. Historical records show that Ivan once declined a trip to Moscow, stating that his son was unwell. But he never mentioned what the illness was. In this telling, Ivan Ivanovich died of natural causes. The entire murder story? A myth, born out of the Tsar's cruel reputation and a tense father-son relationship. Some believe this legend simply spiraled into folklore, exaggerated by artists and historians over time. Theory 3. The General's Request. The final theory, the one that inspired Reppen himself, is perhaps the most tragic. In this account, Ivan Ivanovich asks his father for permission to lead the Russian army in battle. But the Tsar, perhaps threatened or enraged by the boldness of his son's request, lashes out. He strikes his son, possibly accidentally, but the damage is irreversible. As the boy begins to bleed, Ivan the Terrible crumbles. He grabs his son, cries out, "I have killed my son," and breaks down into sobs. This is the version that Reppen chose to immortalize. Not the moment of violence, but the aftermath, the regret, the horror, the heartbreak. Why did Reppen paint it? Reppen began work on this piece in 1882, and he didn't choose this subject randomly. Just before starting the painting, he had witnessed one of Russia's darkest moments: the assassination of Tsar Alexander II and the brutal public executions that followed. The trauma of those events left a mark on Reppen. He saw signs hung on the bodies of the executed reading regicide, the violence, the blood, the broken order, all of it seeped into his art. Even during his travels through Europe, Reppen was disturbed by the blood he saw at bullfights. These visceral experiences inspired the bloody floor, the gory details, and the emotional rawness of the painting. In his early sketches, the focus was always the same: Ivan's wide, haunted eyes staring in disbelief at what he had done. One constant detail: the scepter, the supposed murder weapon. In the final version, the scepter lies discarded on the floor. Ivan no longer holds power, only grief. Why did Russia ban the painting? When the painting was first exhibited in 1885, public reaction was explosive. Some critics, like Reppen's friend Ivan Kramskoy, hailed it as a masterpiece, praising its raw depiction of human agony. But others were horrified. One of the loudest voices was Konstantin Pobedonosov, a close advisor to the Tsar. He called the painting a disgrace, claiming it was historically inaccurate and damaging to the monarchy's image. Just days after opening, the Russian government banned the painting, ordering it removed. The official reason? It portrayed a Tsar committing parricide, a crime too shameful to be linked to Russian royalty. Even worse, there was no proof the event had even happened. Though the painting was eventually allowed to return, controversy never left it. In 1913, a young man entered the gallery and slashed the painting 3 times with a knife. He claimed the story wasn't true and that such blasphemy had to be destroyed. Reppen was still alive and helped oversee the restoration, but the curator who had been guarding the work was so devastated by the attack, he ended his life by jumping in front of a train. Decades later, in 2013, it happened again. A man attacked the painting, yelling, "Ivan never killed his son." He believed he was defending the Tsar's honor. Thankfully, the damage was minimal, and once again, the painting was restored. These repeated incidents gave rise to whispers of a curse, that the painting carries a darkness, one that continues to disturb those who see it. As we wrap up, remember those 3 theories? Well, in 1963, a scientific investigation introduced a new idea. Russian researchers exhumed the remains of Ivan the Terrible and his son and found that both had mercury levels 32 times higher than normal. So what does that mean? Some believe they were poisoned. Others argue it's because mercury was used as medicine, especially to treat syphilis, a disease Ivan was rumored to have. But mercury poisoning can also cause paranoia, mood swings, and hallucinations. If true, it may explain Ivan's unpredictable and violent behavior. So was it murder, illness, poison? We may never know for sure. What we do know is that Repin's painting continues to haunt, not just because of its art, but because of the painful questions it refuses to answer. Was Ivan the Terrible a murderer, or a misunderstood father caught in a moment of uncontrollable emotion? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because in the next video, we dive into another masterpiece with a story just as chilling.